Welcome, Tim, and thank you for joining me here at BusyHive Podcast.
Great to be here, Chris. Thanks for inviting me.
So here at BusyHive, we like to start every show with our guest's favorite quote. It's kind of our way to get everybody motivated and excited for the rest of the show. So, Tim, can you tell us, what's your favorite quote and why? And how did you apply it in your everyday life and mentality?
My favourite quote, I guess it's an old one, and I've got two actually. So my first favourite quote would be, my father always told me, find a job you love and you'll never have to work a day in your life. I guess most people will be familiar with it.
Yeah.
And I guess in this industry we're all very lucky because we help people, and so we do enjoy our work, and the grass is always greener. But you know what? We've all got a great job, so let's focus on that and say we're lucky. And my second favourite quote would be "Leap, and the net will appear." I love to take a bit of chance. I love to take a risk, and I think I've done a lot of leaping, and fortunately I've managed to land. I've got caught by the net. So.
Yeah. So the first one, I have to disagree. Is amazing quote. I will love it. However, it's not true. You work triple if you do what you love.
Right. So that was me. That's what I used to do. And I remember my days in 2006. I was treating 110 people a week. And you know what? I started hating what I was doing. The busier I get, the more I don't like what I do.
Yeah.
When I start reducing my hours, I start loving it again. And I just think if you do more and you work really, really, especially in the massage world where it's physically hard work. So you've got to find that balance of not being too busy, but being busy enough that you've got enough money coming in, and then I think it's a sweet spot.
And it's things out because we so become one person business, so we need to do marketing, business, this and that. So kind of we never have a work 9 to 5, but it's always something to do. But exactly in the idea, in the idea that you working for yourself, you working for something which you really enjoy and love, is the additional work. It's never the struggle. It's never this necessity. It's just something what you want to do.
Being self-employed has its advantages and disadvantages. Yes, you have to take the work home. It's always you're always on the end of a phone, and someone could always phone you at silly hours going, can you help me? Or you've always got to do some marketing or social media or accounts. There's always, like you said, there's always something. But actually, you know what? If you work on your own, you don't have the grief of politics, dealing with other people that you just don't get on with. And you can choose your hours.
Smelly lunches next to your desk.
Yeah. The smelly lunches, the air conditioning is too cold, or it's too hot in my office. It's half a dozen of one and six of the other. It depends what you want, and it doesn't matter.
Yeah. It's just something what you do, and the same with the second quote. Yes, it's just really good to not just the playing safe all the time. It's just sometimes good to make this step, risk and do something more forward, which takes you out of your comfort zone, because that's when the change is happening. That's when we progress. That's when we learn.
Yeah,
I
think
important.
Challenging yourself is a brilliant thing to do. Step outside your comfort zone, and it pushes you. It just stretches those boundaries.
So while we're talking about the challenges, can you share with us one of the challenges as a new therapist when you're starting up, and how did you overcome it?
I think the biggest new challenge is getting busy. It's what you want to do. You became a therapist and you want to start seeing people. You want to start using that therapy. So it's really hard to suddenly, you've got to support yourself. You might have to support rent or mortgage. So getting busy is the first big challenge. And I think there's, it's actually not that difficult. Just get out there. Don't be afraid. Go out and start. When I first started, I was still a trainee, and I started offering treatment for £6 a session. This was 18 years ago, and it just covered my insurance. I worked for my mum's home, And I went around, I printed out some leaflets on my printer, and I went around, did a leaflet drop. And with a leaflet drop, I reckon you'll get around 2 in 100. Okay, so you can pick up 2 clients for every 100 leaflet drops you do, and it's just a matter of getting out there and going around and doing it. But we all don't do it because it's like, oh, you know what, it's a hassle, I've got to get out. But go down your local sports club and start speaking to people. Like, go and make friends with a local sports coach. Go, oh, hi, I'm so-and-so. I've just become a massage therapist, and I'm offering massages half price for sports people. And they'll go, that's fantastic. I'd be up for trying that. People will support you. When you get out there and you start telling people what you'll do, you'll be amazed that people will back you and people will be behind you. You'll get a few people that will turn their nose up, but forget them. Just go out there and do it.
I think that's the one of the things is just don't shut up. Don't just talk. Talk to everyone. Talk to anyone.
Talk to everyone. Talk to anyone. Tell everyone what you're doing. Yeah. Don't be embarrassed about what you're doing. Just go and tell everyone, I'm doing this. I'm newly qualified. And tell everyone that you're good at it as well. You've just been trained. You've got your qualification. Go and do it.
And it's really quite important things which I notice is sometimes those things are the long-term games. You might not see the amount of clients coming straight away. Okay, it's not sometimes when you talk to people, when you go out there, it's all about kind of planting a seed. So when people see you, hear about you, you talk to them, they have a kind of seed in their head about the therapist. They might not come tomorrow for the session, they might not come next week, next month, but at some point when something happened in their life and it's going to think about therapy, and it's like, oh, there was this guy.
Absolutely.
So don't it's because I think people will get discouraged because of this talking and going out there like that to people, because they might don't no one came from leaflets, no one there, that didn't work. Maybe not straight away, but it's just always something work in a sense of your boosting your confidence, being able to talk to people, but as well as planting a seed that those things might not happen straight away, but they will eventually bring you some game.
Yeah, and I'd say if you're going to plant the seed, scatter the seeds wide. Yeah?
Throw it everywhere.
Throw them everywhere. Yeah, tell the world what you're doing, and it will come back to you. And you know what? The more you put in, when I first started, when I first set up my clinic, I was seeing, on my first week, I saw 4 patients, and I shared my room.
That's pretty good, actually.
It was all right, yeah. I mean, I actually went into a leisure club. And I shared my room with 2 other practitioners, so we each had 2 days, and so we all rented it for a month. I think it cost me £600 a month, and we split the rent, and we each had our 2 days. And on a Sunday, you could kind of use it ad hoc. Yeah. And I just went around the whole club telling everyone what I did. And my first week, I saw 4 patients, and 18 years later, I think we saw 40,000 appointments last year.
Are you still in the same place?
No, unfortunately, they put my rent up 75% 3 years ago. So they forced us out, and it was devastating actually, because I was there for 11 years. It was so upsetting. I had trouble sleeping. I had lost my appetite.
Change, yeah.
And I was absolutely gutted, and I was gutted.
How did you bounce back then?
Well, we got very, very lucky. It was like an angel appeared from the heavens, and a property came on the market that was an old osteopathic clinic. It was in a prime position and corner pot slot on a busy road. One of my patients was a mortgage advisor. I went to HSBC. I got a loan. I got a mortgage. I couldn't afford the premises. I bought the premises. And since buying the premises, obviously, I've never looked back. Now, that might not be a step that's applicable for many of the listeners, but it was what I did to get me out of trouble. I wasn't worried so much about me. I was worried about my team. And the thought of not having anywhere to work, it was devastating at the time. And my landlord just would not negotiate. And actually, this has happened 3 times to me. And I suspect this will have happened to your listeners as well. You're in a leisure centre, you're in a sports club, you're somewhere, and then they decide they're going to put your rent up, and you've budgeted for this amount of money, and suddenly you've got this unforeseen charge on you. It absolutely turns your life upside down.
Oh yeah.
And anyone out there that's going through it, drop me a line. I feel for you. I'm happy to be a listening ear. It's but you can bounce back and just get lucky.
Yeah, no, it's great advice. You know, as you said, maybe not many listeners, but it's already from your story we can really, really learn something. That's why let's move on to the next question, because it's like here at BusyHive, you really focus on the beginning because we can really, really learn something from it, and already from your story. So can you tell us how did you get started, and how did you get to the point where are you today?
So I always had an interest in sport, and I thought to myself, well, what can I do with sports related? And I must admit, I also always saw myself as being doing something well. You know, I was that kind of mentality that if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it to 100% of my effort. So it doesn't matter whether it was sports therapy or massage or physio or osteopathy. So I first of all wanted to get into sport. I wanted to work with sports people. And then I thought, actually, you know what, I'm really interested in complementary health and helping people with their health. So I first of all trained as a reflexologist back at Bromley College in 1999. And you know what? And I put myself out there. I put an advert in the local newsagent. I just printed off a sheet, paid my £4 a week or £3 a week or whatever it was to display this advert in the local newsagent, and picked up 3 or 4 clients from it. And then, you know what? They loved it. I did it in my mum's spare bedroom, and they lay on the bed, and I did them old massage with the feet. And I thought, you know, I really enjoy this. And so I ended up going and studying to be an osteopath. And I qualified as an osteopath, then re-qualified as a physiotherapist, and then did a master's in sports physiotherapy. And then I went back to university for a 3rd time and did my prescribing. So I became a prescribing physiotherapist, and then went back to physiotherapy a 4th time and became an injection physiotherapist. And if I ever go anywhere near university again, I'm going to bang my head against a wall. So a couple of people have said to me, Tim, why don't you go and do a PhD? Hell no. That's the equivalent of, that's like having a divorce. And I'm done with studying. Enough. Yeah. So I've been doing this a few years now, and it's been a fantastic roller coaster ride. Ups and downs, highs and lows, a lot more highs than lows. There's always dark moments. There's always bits when you feel isolated, and when you hate the world, and when you look at your diary and you realize you've got no one coming in next week, and you think, oh my God, my whole business is collapsing. But you know what? Just get out there. Use those hours productively. When you're quiet, they're the best times to get out and start meeting people.
I think it's always been like when it's even if you don't have a client and you have nothing to do, your job is to get the job in.
Yeah.
So just spending this time to is it still working time? Just you don't there's no time on the sofa. Right. There's no time on relaxing, and this is still work, and you're going out there doing anything, dragging people from the street, talking to people on the street, about I'm here. And I can help.
Exactly right. And a lot of your clients will be, a lot of your listeners will be either mobile, or they'll be working around people that actually do need their services. I was watching The Apprentice last night, and I love The Apprentice. What a great show. And they were doing this massage therapy at the expo, the bodybuilding expo.
Oh yeah, there was something. Yeah.
They actually, I think they pulled in sort of £500 worth of massage. I know there's a few of them, but you can just pull people in. If you can sell anything if you just throw your energy into it and tell everyone you're great at it.
Yeah. No, really, really great tips. And next part of the interview is exactly that's why I brought you in, because you designed something in Brock to use amazing, really cool tool, which I think our listeners will really benefit from it. So the next part of the interview is something what we're gonna talk about is your product. So can you tell us a little bit more about Rehab My Patient?
Rehab My Patient. It's my baby. The story. The story goes like this. We had a problem. I was terrible at drawing stickmen, and it was time consuming. And I looked online and I found a software site called PhysioTools, which was an exercise prescription site. And I subscribed and I used it, and I found it so frustratingly slow that I was pulling my hair out, and it was buggy and it crashed, and I just didn't enjoy using it. And I thought, but I really like this concept. So back in 2005, I started to design my own rehab software, and I thought, you know what, I can do this better. I can make this faster. And I asked my sister if she'd been model, and we started doing some exercises, stretching exercises, and it didn't work. It was a complete disaster, and I put it to bed for about 5-6 years. And
have you had any experience with designing or like software and stuff?
No, I'm the world's least creative person. I have no experience with designing, but I've always been interested in computers. I've always enjoyed computers. I don't have any coding experience, although I've picked up a bit along the route now. No, it really was about solving a problem. And the problem is I felt that there needed to be a software out there which you can prescribe exercises quickly, that looked good, that put your logo right across the top of the exercise plan, that put your details on the exercise plan, that was efficient, that was affordable. And I wanted something that matched my criteria as a therapist.
Yeah.
And I couldn't find it. So I thought, sod it, I'm just going to build it myself. And that's what I did. And I found found a guy, a brilliant guy called David Beach, and he was on a national ski team with me, and he was a web designer. And we went to the Olympics together in 2010 in Vancouver. And I asked him, he was like a great guy, a good friend, and I asked him, would you build the first version of the website? So he built it, and we started testing it, and we're using it, and it actually was fine. And then technology changes, as it always does, and so we needed to rebuild the site. And this is like a growing thing with technology. When you build something online, everything changes, right?
Oh yeah.
So
yeah.
And apps are like the bane of my life, because iOS App Store brings out a new iOS version, and suddenly your whole app is full of bugs. So we built a first version, and actually we started using it at the clinic, and you know what, it was actually working fairly well, and I liked it, and so we bought a model in, and we did some photos, and then I found a fantastic graphic designer in Ukraine who has been with me now for about 7 years. She's called Inna. Big shout out to Inna. And she makes the photos look great. So she does her stuff, and she draws line arts. So rather than me drawing stickmen, she just has these line arts. So we put it all together, and then we thought, hang on a minute, technology's changed again. We now have to have video. So we rebuilt the website again. The pain. I mean, you know, thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of hours of my time has been invested into this. And so we rebuilt the website again, and the website was even better. It was even faster, and we now have a fantastic product. It's called Rehab My Patient. You can use it to prescribe exercise plans to your patients. It is super fast. You can use it on an iPad. You can use it on your smartphone. You can use it on a laptop. You can email the exercise plans to your patients really, really easily. You can even check if they've got the email, and you can even check if they've opened the email. It sends them a video, it sends them a picture, it sends them a description. You can edit the descriptions if you don't like them. If you want your own photos, you can upload your own photos. You can attach your own videos if you want. But what it does, and the key thing is that it's an amazing marketing tool. And I cannot stress this enough when I speak to people.
So how? Yeah, explain that.
So it's a number of reasons. First of all, you're using a very professional product. So it makes you look good. It makes you look professional. And more people and patients are asking about exercises, right? So they're coming for massage or sports treatment or physio, and they say, well, what exercises should I be doing? And you're like, oh, crikey, you know, if you're not really sure, you're like, oh, well, I know you're tight. You know, I found you're tight in the upper trapezius. So maybe you should do a a stretch, or maybe your posture's not so good. Maybe you could do a strengthening exercise to strengthen those rhomboid muscles and retract the scapula a little bit and improve your posture. So so there's always exercise you can prescribe, and people are asking for them. So you do your massage, and usually at 1 minute before the end of the appointment, they say, "Oh, is there any exercises I should be doing?" And you think, "Oh Christ, I got my next patient sitting outside." Well, bang, rehab my patient, prescribe your exercise plan in under 1 minute. It's phenomenal, so fast.
Did you time it?
Yeah, we timed it. Yeah, and if you do a template, you can prescribe an exercise plan in under 15 seconds. So you create a template. Yeah. Like, let's say you get someone with bad posture, you create a posture template.
Yeah,
and you just put in their email. Yeah, put in their name and email. It's the same template. You can edit it slightly. Under 15 seconds. So it's very, very fast. And then your patient thinks, or your client thinks, "Wow, this guy's good." They're not just a massage therapist, but they also can recommend some sensible exercises. Now, there might be a few people listening saying, "Well, I think that's out of my qualification criteria."
Yeah, I want to ask about it. Yeah.
So you know your own scope of practice, but if you've got more knowledge than them just going on YouTube and searching exercises,
because that's what they're going to do.
They're just going to go on YouTube and go, "Oh, my massage therapist told me I've got some knots in this muscle, so I'll go and find an exercise for it." But actually, you know more about the body, you've got more knowledge, and you've got more experience to actually guide them. Now, Rehab My Patient does have a section where you can actually have some exercise suggestions. So you can put in the muscle that you're trying to work on, and it gives you exercises for that muscle. Or you can put in the diagnosis. So if you put in a diagnosis like, I don't know, like whiplash, it would come up with some whiplash exercises.
Oh yeah, so you already have like prepared set of exercises for conditions.
Yeah, we do. So it can give you some suggestions. So it's actually a good learning tool as well. And you can just play around with it and you learn. You just watch all the videos on one section, like watch all the neck videos. And you know what? You're going to learn. Like it tells you this is a sternocleidomastoid stretch. This is a scaling stretch. This is a good stretch for your upper trapezius. So you pick them up. And I don't think there's any issue with a massage therapist with your training in anatomy and physiology to prescribe an exercise plan. I think it's common sense. But obviously your listener has to be the judge of their own scope of practice. Okay. And if you feel it's outside your scope of practice, don't do it. So simple.
I would say other way around, because if there is a tool like that, obviously we need to get to know tool and get to know exercises, because we in massage schools we learn sort of about aftercare, which I told you, or do this exercise, do this, very gentle. But I found it not being very confident after massage school to do aftercare, because it was just something. Okay, I knew some exercises, but doing exercises in a way that help the aftercare of our treatment. Depends on sort of conditions that they are. You can't just do normal exercises. They have to be based exactly to the person, to the exercise. And as well, you can have some protocols, but I wasn't confident enough to do so. The aftercare, I was just more of the research and got actually watching on the YouTube.
Yeah, I mean, look, totally, because school is about learning the basics.
Yeah.
And when you come out of school, you then apply what you've learned, and then you develop your experience, you develop your knowledge. And I think that, like anything in life, you just have to build up that knowledge. You can go on courses. I'm actually going to deliver a 3-day course to Becky Tyler Sports Therapy Academy up in Stafford, I think it is. Teaching therapists how to do rehab. So it's and we'll probably run a course in London at some point as well.
Because to make a difference, sorry to stop you, aftercare and rehab are two different things.
Exactly right. Aftercare and rehab completely. So rehab is aftercare is really giving the correct advice, telling them what they should and shouldn't do. Postural advice is good aftercare. Lifestyle advice is good aftercare. And rehabilitation is more about is more like corrective exercise. Yeah. It's about achieving an outcome with a particular exercise to benefit the patient. But going back to your original point, is marketing. So having this software is actually brilliant because you are marketing yourself, because every single time you see a client, you just send them an exercise program, and you progress them through the exercises. Even if you just send one per client. So every time you see a client, send an exercise plan. And you're sending something with your address, your contact details. You're sending them an email. So when they reply to the email, they get you back. And if they need you, they'll do a quick search on an email. They'll print it. They'll stick it on their wall. They'll show their doctor. They'll show their physio. They'll show their osteopath. And you have a great marketing tool. It's just an advert for you being a brilliant practitioner on that piece of paper. And, if you're really smart and you've got a printer where you work, then you've got it now. Just print every exercise plan for every patient in colour. Colour cartridges are not expensive like they used to be. Oh, they are still expensive, but they're not, they used to be really expensive. Now we just colour print everything, right? And give one to every patient, right? And you know what? They have something to walk out of your room with something in their hand. It's a bit of advice. It might be one stretch, but it's a bit of advice. That's valuable.
Something. And it's definitely better than Stickman.
Stickman don't work. They're fine, but they don't explain exactly how to do the exercise. You have to write the description. It's confusing. It's time consuming. You have to write down the sets and reps. This does it all for you. And also the other thing is, if you write Stickman and you give it to the patient, then you've got to also photocopy it. So you've got a copy as well, or you've then got to write it in your notes. Because otherwise you can't remember what stretches you gave your patient. And when your patient comes in next week and they didn't do exercises because they didn't really work out what the stickmen were, and you're trying to explain it all, it's just easy to get confused.
And it's fantastic, because you can just print it what they have under care, keep it with your paperwork, so the next time they're coming.
Exactly right. You've got a record, and that's really important. That you have a record of what you've done, what advice you've given. And a year down the line, you've still got that record.
So, and you mentioned you can have this on various devices. Is that working for all, like Windows, Mac, computer, iPad?
Yep.
Yeah,
it works for all of them. Yeah.
And all Android devices as well.
Yeah. So we are just actually rebuilding our app at the moment, and the app is functional. But actually, we've got the website is changes size is responsive. So if you're using a small laptop, a big laptop, a smartphone, actually it resizes perfectly. So you can just open up Google and use it from the phone directly through Google.
And I'm just gonna ask you, because not everyone is so confident in using computer and softwares and programs. How your program is easy to operate? How's that?
Well, I made it for me and my team, and you know what? I had to make it straightforward.
Yeah.
It's designed to be super intuitive. It's just easy. Click a load of buttons, put in your number of sets and reps, or how long to hold the exercise for, how many times a day to do it. There are a few more slightly complicated features which you can tweak the software from the settings. Like you might want to change the position of your logo, or you might want to copy yourself into emails, or there's a few other little tweaks that you can make it a bit more advanced. But the straightforward thing is you can actually pick it up in under 2 minutes. Just go and just literally use it. Go make yourself an exercise plan, use it. And we've got a free trial, so you can actually just use it for free for 14 days.
The next question. So exactly. Let's find out what sort of offers and costs are there.
So just go on to rehabmypatient.com, sign up for a free trial, and if you use, I've actually created a code for you this morning called BusyHives, and if you use the code BusyHives, if you did want to pay, then you can get the software for a 20% discount. If you get it monthly, it'll cost you just over £10 a month. And for yearly price, I'm no good at maths, but it's probably around about sort of £107 or £105 a year. So it's the price of, it's the price of three appointments. If you do an hour's appointment, it's the price of 2 hours of your time, and you get this. But you'll get it back because people will recommend you, because you've got that level of, that level of professionalism. So it's actually very affordable. I want it to be affordable. I don't want it to be expensive. I want people to be able to use it. We're not trying to price people out of using it. We're used by hundreds of therapists, massage therapists. We're endorsed by a number of the big massage organisations, which is brilliant. They've been fantastic. So BusyHives is a code you can use. It expires at the end of November, so get on it quickly and use it. And I'll remind you, for those listeners that join us towards the end, I'll remind you again about it.
Yeah, no, fantastic. Thank you for that. And yeah, I had to play with the tool. I had to play with the website before we had the interview, so I know exactly what I'm talking about. And I have to admit, it was really straightforward. And in many times it was after the session with the clients. I didn't have any ideas what to do, kind of exercise. But then, come back and then just search about for diagnosis or whatever happening in the body, what they need, and I was just straightforward, choose the exercises, and suddenly it's really, really nice and easy, and
it's really easy,
and as you said, enhanced, and makes your treatment more professional and better.
Yes, it does. Yeah. Okay, so look, there will be some listeners going, "Oh, what if I prescribed the wrong exercise?" You know what? It's like, well, what if you did a wrong massage? I mean, what's the worst that can happen? Just tell your patients, and there's a disclaimer on the bottom of every exercise sheet that you can modify. If you get pain, stop the exercise.
Yeah.
Yeah. If it doesn't feel right, stop the exercise. If it feels uncomfortable, stop the exercise.
But I think that's a natural thing anyway. You should be telling your clients with any aftercare, any rehab.
Exactly right. So, it's like you tell your patient, or you tell your client, you might be sore after the session. Yeah, it's normal. Yeah, not every exercise will work for every patient. Not every stretch works for every condition. It's about the patient, and we are prescribing for that patient. So you might need to tweak it a little bit, and that's fine. It's a working plan.
Because one really important thing we have to always remember that actually for clients, for people get better, the aftercare, the rehab, that's the 80%. What they do in a change in their life, that's 80% of the progression for their better health. What we do is around 20%. We just, through massage techniques and whatever you do in your treatment, encourage the changes, encourage the health benefits. But what they do in their life, so have a tool like that is the way
exactly
better.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
So what's in the future for Rehab My Patient?
Oh, we're doing some really cool stuff. We've been asked a lot to get the site translated into other languages. So we've got one of the biggest providers in
That's a good
Portuguese. Portugal wants to take over the site for Portugal.
You need Polish translator?
Dziękuję.
Here you go.
Yeah, so I think translations is key. I mean, we're actually constantly making developments. We're doing some pretty cool stuff with regards to improving the technology, which we will release soon. We're going to be adding more exercises. We've just shot another 250 exercises, which we're adding. So when we add exercises, our subscribers get access to the exercises as well. We've got about 460 advice sheets on our site now. So if a client comes in and says, "Oh, I've been diagnosed with with a bunion, or I've been diagnosed with runner's knee. Have you got any tips?" We've actually got advice sheets now for runner's knee for 460 conditions. So you can do a little search, and a live search, and it'll pop up with all the advice sheets. So they're really cool.
So what's happened if someone, because you probably a pretty good list, but what if someone can't find anything on what they need?
Oh, just email us. I mean, if there's something really random that you treat or see and we haven't got it, just email support@rehabmypatient.com and we'll add it. We get asked fairly often actually to add new exercises, to add new bits of information, and we just we work through that list and we add it when we can.
No, fantastic. You
Yeah,
really thank you for presenting, sharing
that's
that.
okay.
That's why I created BusyHive, because there are lots of amazing products, things around there which, therapists can benefit. And I think, your product is one of the great, really, really nice design, really easy, straightforward products
Thank you.
to use. So I strongly believe, our listeners really, really benefit from it. So really thank you for presenting that and sharing your experience, your story.
It's been brilliant to be here, Chris. I mean, I love chatting to you.
So,
It's fun.
Tim,
Yeah,
the next
yeah.
part I'm gonna ask you. We have our little game, okay? I'm gonna ask you, who do you admire and why, and how can you help us get recommendation for upcoming interview with me here at BusyHive?
Who do I admire and why? I admire my wife. I know it's
That's a good
slightly
one.
off topic.
You just got the points for yourself to her.
I'll be like, oh, do you want to watch this YouTube video? Scroll to like minute 31. I admire my wife. She's amazing doing what she does with her kids, and my dear mum, so much inner strength. Thank you for my family and my great team that I work with. Sorry, in a professionally. I mean, one of the big influences on my rehab was a guy called Paul Check. I did a number of his courses many years ago. A few of your listeners will be familiar with him. He's a bit of a big name guru in rehab. He's now become quite holistic actually. But I just adored the guy. Fantastic presence. In terms of tag a friend for your Busy Hives podcast, I think a couple of people I would recommend. Britt Spence, if she's out there, sits on a number of massage complementary therapy boards, and she is a business coach as well. She's been helping me with a little project which I've been doing, which is a guide for new practitioners on how to get busy. And we're about 90% through that now. She's very knowledgeable, great fun, buzzy. I think she'd be great. And from a therapy or clinical view, I would recommend a brilliant colleague of mine called Chris Worsfold. He's a physiotherapist. He's pretty much the UK guru on whiplash. I don't think you'll find a better physiotherapist or one that knows any more than he does on whiplash. It's a common thing. We all see it. A lot of people turn up for therapy, massage for having had a whiplash. And I think he could give some brilliant clinical tips for your listeners on whiplash. So it depends whether you want to go a little bit more business or whether you want to go more clinical. But I'll be putting those guys in touch with you.
No, fantastic. Yeah, Britt and Chris, you've been tagged, and we definitely are going to be in chat with you very, very soon. Thank you for those recommendations. So the next part, Tim, is called freestyle time. So we have a last moment to kind of encourage and promote whatever you want to do. So I believe you're going to promote Rehab Your Patient. So we're going to give you a little bit of the freestyle time.
Oh, Chris, you're too generous with the
okay, time's out. So we had to. No, I'm joking. Go on.
Look, guys, seriously, I'll wrap it up really quickly. Rehab My Patient. It's a fantastic site. I absolutely love it. I use it all the time. Have a play with it. If you like it, sign up. It's brilliant. It really is. Special code Busy Hives will get you a huge discount. Use it, enjoy it, give it to as many patients as you can, as clients as you can. Promote yourself with it. Get busy. Have a great career. Happy days.
So Tim, thank you. It's really great. Thank you for joining us today and give us your experience and your knowledge. So we have just one last thing for our listeners to take out of this episode. What would it be?
Enjoy life and have fun.
Nice and easy and simple. So how can we connect with you online?
So we have a Facebook page, www.facebook.com/rehabmypatient. We have Instagram, Rehab My Patient. We have Twitter at Rehab My Patient. And best things, go onto our Facebook page, like our Facebook page. I think we've got about almost 10,000 likes on there. So if you could like us, then you'll be updated with all the new things we're doing. And that's the best way to stay in touch.
Oh, fantastic! So really, thank you for joining
Thank you.
here, and yeah, we definitely gonna chat very very soon. Bye for now.
I'd love to chat again, Chris, when you get a spare, mate.
Cheers. Bye bye.
Okay, take care.